League Baseball history. He may. Clevenger already is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. He is. There's a may on one side and an is on the other. And if I'm the Anaheim Angels and I can get Clevenger for Joe Adele, sign me up on that line today. Today. I remember a Yankee prospect. Remember this one? It's 2010. The Yankees are the defending World Series champions, and they're in the market to get Cliff Lee from the Phillies. And the Phillies want a catcher, a top prospect catcher by the name of Jesus Montero, who was the flavor of the day back in 2010 if you were a rookie prospect. And the Yankees said to the Phillies, Montero is not touchable. We're not moving Montero. And instead of Cliff Lee going to the Yankees in 2010, he goes to the Texas Rangers. And in the playoffs, the Rangers knocked the Yankees out, in part because of Cliff Lee. And proceed on to the World Series. And in my opinion, my humble opinion, had that trade gone through and Cliff Lee gone to the Yankees, it would have been the Yankees in the World Series playing the Cardinals in 2010. But that's not my point. My point is Joe Adele is a prospect. Clevenger is a star. I'm trading a prospect for a young star who is a great pitcher any day, and particularly, I just talked about the the Nationals and the Cubs. I talked about the Nationals and Cubs, the Bryant Robles possible trade, how that could help both teams. Cleveland, obviously, is thinking about fire sailing. I have heard and read all offseason how the Angels need pitching. The Angels need a frontline pitcher. The Angels want a frontline pitcher. Clevenger's out there. You are absolutely off your rocker, Anaheim, if you don't trade Joe Adele to get Clevenger. What do you think, chat room? Let's see. George says, well, let's go back to Andrea. Andrea says Joe Adele sucks. George says, if I'm the Angels, I do that in a heartbeat. Andrea remembers Montero. So do I, unfortunately. The Angels could throw in the singer Adele, George says. And Montero did go to the Mariners in the Pineda trade. And Andrea says, I don't know why people assume fire sale in Cleveland. I don't know that I assume it or don't assume it. I don't know why the Indians will be interested in trading away their best players for prospects if they are, in fact, inclined to do that, unless they are fire sailing. I mean, I don't hear other teams talking about trading their ace pitcher. I don't hear other teams talking about trading possibly the best player overall in the game. Frankie Lindor. He's got another year after this one. You're talking about trading him now? There's got to be some motivation. I don't know. If they are, in fact, interested. Now, the Indians may not be interested in trading anybody. But a lot of times where there's a little bit of smoke, there's a lot of fire. Let's move on. How about Donaldson? Does he become a Nat? Does he become a Twin? Does he become a Brave? He's 34 years old. He's wanting in the range of $110 million over 4 seasons. The Nationals, to me, make, as I said earlier, great sense. The Braves had him. They know what he can do. He apparently loves Atlanta. Do you really think he's going to Minnesota? I don't see that one. I guess they blow him away with $20 million more or something, and yeah, he becomes a Twin. But I really see it coming down to the Nationals and the Braves, and I got to think he's going to Washington. I just got to think if he was going to stay in Atlanta, he would already be in Atlanta. I mean, what does it say to a player when you're basically saying, I want to play for you and I'm waiting to sign a contract because I'm waiting on you, and yet you haven't asked me to the dance yet. So I'm going to go on another date. Andrea says a Brave. I thought that made the most sense, but since we're podcasting and giving different perspectives, I no longer think that. I now think he's going to move on. I now think he's using the Atlanta, I want to go there, as a piece to get more money to go to Washington. And I think he'll be a Nat. And I could be wrong, because we don't know the inner workings of the brain of Josh Donaldson. But we do know, while other free agents have been signed, Josh Donaldson has not. We do know while other players have gone to teams they want to go to or stayed at home, Josh Donaldson has not. I just don't think Atlanta is that crazy about Josh Donaldson or spending the money that it'll take to keep him. If they had have been, they would have. And they haven't. So let's keep our eye on that one. I got to believe we're going to, again, Castellanos, Donaldson, these players, I just think we're going to see movement in the month of January. This talk about Arenado, 50-50 chance of being traded. I don't want to get into that too much. But if Arenado is traded, I got to think the Rockies do not want to move him to LA to be in division. Where does he wind up? Of course, I'd love to see him as a New York Yankee. But Atlanta certainly has prospects. And maybe that's what Atlanta's waiting on and not going after Donaldson. You know, it's like a chess game. It's 3 moves ahead. If Castellanos winds up in Atlanta and Colorado winds up with a lot of Atlanta prospects, then we understand why Josh Donaldson did not sign with the Braves. I don't think Todd Frazier goes to Atlanta. I think it's either going to be a trade for Arenado or Donaldson, or could the Braves just say, we're going to go with what we've got? Never know. We'll see. I tell you what, I love you guys showing up this morning in the chat room. Andrea, Corona Cyclonus, it's great to see you in the chat room this morning. Dale, DK Lush, George. I mean, these are guys, I want to tell you, I really appreciate you being in the chat room. I really appreciate you chatting in. Matt Duffy, I love that one, George. There you go. The Braves who don't like to spend money, Matt Duffy could be that fix. You giving me new information. I love it. As I'm thanking you for being in the chat room. Phil Chaplin, of course. My partner in crime, Rotorius, Timothy Hooker, guest Camellia. It's great to see all of you guys in the chat room this morning. Thank you for making this show what it is. Anytime I look up and see that we've got over 10 active users, 10 or more active users during this show, it's just incredible. You guys make it awesome. You make it great for me. Now, I will not be here Thursday. I have a very important meeting outside of my office I have to be at Thursday morning. I'll let Lenny know. But I'm looking forward to our shows coming up because there's so much that's going to happen in January. I'm looking forward, Andrea, to our slow draft. I've never done a slow draft. I can tell you pick number 1. If this is the order that we signed up in, I would be pick number 1. I don't know if it becomes random or not. But if it does, stick to that schedule. You guys get in this slow draft. If you're not in it, there's just a few spots left. If I'm number one, I've already got my pick ready, so it won't take 6 hours for number one. I can go ahead and tell you. I don't know when it's going to start, but Andre, if you'll let me know, I'll be queued up and ready to go with the pick. So I don't hold anyone up. I will be ready. I am ready. I just don't know when it starts. And I certainly don't want to wait 6 hours for pick number one. Does anybody? Doesn't that make you kind of irritated? You got the first pick in a fantasy draft, and it takes forever to pick. I mean, come on. Right now, who's the number one pick? Is it going to be Acuna? Is it going to be Trout? Is it going to be Bellinger? Is it going to be Yelich? It's got to be one of those guys, right? I think it's got to be one of those four. We'll keep our eye on it. Guys, have a great Tuesday. Enjoy your January 7. A lot of happy birthdays today. I've got friends on Facebook. I got like 12 friends. Lisa's got a birthday. Happy birthday. Have a great day. Enjoy the January hot stove. Thank you for being part of our podcast here on Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports. Lenny, thank you for the opportunity. I'll see you guys, I guess it'll be next week on Monday. And until then, have a great day and enjoy some fantasy chat baseball on Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports. Talk to you soon, everybody.